Risk analysis, according to ISO 14971, is supposed to be the foundation of safe medical device development. But here's what actually happens. Teams spend weeks copying old FMEAs, quality depends on who's in the room, discussions go in circles without clear structure. And in audits, inconsistent evaluations, weak logic, poor traceability to design controls. Problem isn't the standard. The problem is the process. Most teams are using methods from 20 years ago. Manual, inconsistent, impossible to scale, and the documentation, it checks the box but doesn't serve the actual purpose, making better decisions. Let's be clear about what ISO 14971 actually requires. It's not about creating documents. It's about systematic identification of hazards, consistent evaluation of risks, and deriving effective controls. The standard demands traceability and logic, not paperwork for the sake of paperwork. And this is exactly where it makes sense to think about a structured, AI-supported system, not to replace your expertise, but to make the process faster, more consistent, and scalable. What you are seeing is the main interface. Instead of starting with a blank template, you begin by answering a structured questionnaire. You describe your device, its intended use, the clinical context, and the user population. The AI then generates a comprehensive risk analysis, hazards, hazardous situations, potential harms, and initial risk ratings. It follows the hazard situation harm logic that ISO 14971 requires and provides P1, P2, and severity assessments based on industry data and best practices. Let me show you how this works in practice. You start by answering a structured questionnaire about your device, its intended use, the clinical environment, the user profile. Based on these inputs, the system automatically generates a comprehensive risk analysis. It identifies relevant hazards, defines hazardous situations, assesses potential harms, and calculates initial probability and severity values, P1 and P2 according to ISO 14971. Now here's the critical part. Everything the AI generates is a draft. You see suggested hazardous situations, harms, occurrence probabilities, and severity ratings. But you must verify these against your own data, your post-market surveillance data, your clinical evidence, your usability testing. The tool accelerates the process, but you maintain full responsibility. What you get as output: a comprehensive risk analysis in a familiar format. Every entry follows the logical chain, hazard to hazardous situation to harm. You see P1 and P2 probabilities and severity classifications. Everything is a draft until you verify it. You review the AI-generated hazards against your documentation. You validate the probability estimate with your post-market surveillance data. You confirm severity ratings based on your clinical evaluation. Once verified, you have audit-ready documentation that will stand up to your notified body, FDA or internal reviews. But the responsibility for accuracy remains with you, as it should. This tool is built for MedTech startups, SMEs, and quality assurance or regulatory affairs teams working with limited resources but high regulatory requirements. It's for development managers who need scalable processes. It's not for organizations that already have 15 people dedicated to risk management. It's not a compliance shortcut. It's a professional instrument for teams who take risk analysis seriously but can't afford to spend months on it. This tool doesn't replace expertise. It makes good work faster, more consistent, and audit-ready. The focus stays where it belongs: patient safety, regulatory compliance, and better design decisions. If that resonates with you, there's a link below to get in contact with us. I'm looking forward to talking to you.